But just don't talk down the lens.
See, really, it should do from the neck up, because I can draw my cheeks in, but I can't draw my belly in.
Just pull your t-shirt down a moment so we can get a...
T-shirt as true today as it was back then.
It's only about 2 years old.
That's that band that are on that frame there. In fact, will that just fit there? That frame.
This frame?
Yeah. Will that fit there? That's the band that's on his t-shirt. Nod.
You can play in Manchester
It's just a bit.
and sell somewhere out, but you can also play in Manchester and get 20 people turning up. But when they go to Copenhagen, they play for 5 nights. Holland, they do about 4 places. 4
Oh, sorry,
Holland,
can you move this deliberately?
and they sell all the merchandise they've got in the first week, and then they go away for a month or so.
Yeah.
Get the shade.
Yeah, it's just more vignetted, isn't it, really?
I think I've got a balaclava somewhere.
Oh, I know what you mean, it's very...
Bet that Denise is downstairs rubbing me blind.
I said, you come up and listen on lunch. It's alright, I've heard it all before.
Right, so have we got some questions or anything?
Yeah.
Well, after brass tacks, I sort of became a husband and a father, fetching up 2 kids. You know, you've got your priorities, so I went doing that, and for like 25 years or so, I just went to occasional gigs, which I really fancied. And then she did one, and I got made redundant, so I thought I was going to have a nice 6-month enjoy myself. And sadly, a few weeks after I got made redundant, I had 2 strokes, hence the name Stroke Club. But I'd started putting gigs on in an old church in Blackfields. I put a couple of gigs on there, and it was a place called Saki Bar on Winslow Road in the Curry Mile. Started putting them on there, and then I got asked by the people what own Gullivers if I fancied doing a night there. So I did, and hence the name Stroke Club, because I'd had 2 strokes. It was just a pun on myself. I mean, I was in a very, very bad place at one time after them, but luckily there was a girl from the Stroke Association pulled me back from where I was going, which wouldn't have been long, and she said there is a life, so I just decided to put bands on and call it Stroke Club. And it was, at that time, there was a lot of pay-to-play places where they want 5 bands on, charge you a £5 in, and you know, like, it just empties, fills up, empties, fills up, and it's just the promoter just making a few, you know, quite a lot of money out of the bands. And it was a fight that time. I didn't like that, so I started doing Stroke Club. And if you'll notice on these posters, most of them only have 2 bands on. Some might have 3, but that's just a filling thing for 15 minutes on one of them who's asked. So I was trying to make bands feel important, and I got it so that each band got a crate of beer, so that made them feel welcome. I bought pizzas out of my own money for them, and you were treating them right, how they should be treated. Made them feel important because it was their time, and people reacted to that, and it went down well. I'm so pleased I did it, and it gave me a name in Manchester what I didn't have or didn't deserve, but everybody seems to know me after this, and it was special times for me. But sadly I had to give it up because it got too much of me, because of my illnesses, I couldn't deal with it all. So the idea was I wanted to other people to put nights on at stroke club and them to be doing it for, you know, do it themselves sort of thing. But sadly it never took off. But the Bare Heart has the right thing now, and I don't need to be doing that. I can go and see bands at the Bare Heart, I can go see bands at Gulliver's, I can go see bands at Yes. There's enough bands where they're getting the right amount of airplay, if you know what I mean, and they're being looked after. So our first stroke club was always free in as well, and then I started charging £2. If you didn't have the £2 you could still get in free, but if I saw you with a pint, I'd pull my pint over you. I wanted them bands to feel special, and hopefully I made the right decision, and they did feel special. So when I go out now, I get well liked, but I still buy the beers, so, which is me, a soft sod.
It is, you set the precedent, that's the problem, so now it's expected.
Yeah.
And what did you do, what work-wise, talk about
Well, I'm a glazer by trade, 20 odd years in it, and I went working in a partnership with a cousin, which split up after about 6 years when I found out his fitted bedroom, his fitted kitchen, his 2-door garage were all paid for by company checks. So we went, you know, like split up, and I had to get a card-in job, so I went working at the airport. I was at the airport for about 14 years, and I still went to the occasional gigs, but most of it, if I went to a gig, I didn't sleep. I came home, had a shower, sort of sat in a chair for a bit, and then went to work, because, you know, like, work had to come first. I had the kids, and I was crap at money-wise, and she was even worse than me, even though I left her to pay everything, and we just got in debt and everything, but managed to clear all that when I got my redundancy. So, which was then that I started putting bands on. I started going out most nights, and I was enjoying myself, and I was probably seeing 20-30 bands a week at times, which was great. I mean, you could tell if the band was going to be alright in the first 30 seconds of a band. So if I didn't like them, I was straight out for a cigarette, you know, like, every band, sadly, most bands, you tend to say, oh, they sound like so-and-so, mixed with so-and-so, but when they mix with somebody who you didn't like to start with, then they go down. But I started doing this, and I was just putting on bands what I liked and what I thought. It didn't matter. Like, there's a band there called No Womb. They were a drum and bass, and it was 2 girls on drum and bass, and they couldn't really play, but they tried, and they used to finish with the Supremes number, and to me that was so special, you know. And putting bands on like Nod, and watching Nod over sort of 8 years, it was great, you know. Like putting Fraser King on. Fraser King finished up playing at the MEM with James and Thetford Forest, you know, being asked. Dirty North finished up playing, supporting the Stone Roses at Eden Park. Janice Graham Band went on tour with Madness, and now I'm seeing stuff like Ill, who I put their first gig on, and now they went on tour last year with Lovely Eggs. You've got Lines, who've just been on tour with Seaford Mods, and I just love watching these bands grow from being a support band to just another local band to starting to make it big, which it gives me that warm feeling, knowing that I was right in the bands that I picked. So.
And thinking about, obviously, when you was really unwell, recovering from your stroke, we'll use that in that film. Just thinking about, is that what sort of saved you? And
that saved me from. I mean, I went really into a dark place where I was ready for doing away with myself. But luckily, there was a girl from the Stroke Association who told me what a silly sod I was, and she sorted everything out for me, put things right, and I've never looked back. Now I'm a million miles away from that. You know, like, I've got a life, and if I can pass down anything to anybody, that's my purpose in life now. So.
That's nice. What about the stuff that you did with Mike Gary?
Mike, well, we used to have, once a month, we used to have what we call a stroke cafe. You go down and there'd be about 30 people turn up, and you got sandwiches and what have you, and you all put some money in, you know, £1, £2, whatever you wanted, and you got talking to people. It didn't matter that you were talking to an 80-year-old woman. You all had that same thing. You could all relate to it, even though every person's stroke is different. You can still relate to their stroke, and it was a fantastic place. And they got things coming on, and they got Mike Gary in. Does anybody want to do any poetry? And we did poetry. Like, he was teaching us how to write poems for 6 weeks, and it turned out really well. We had a really good laugh, and they actually used mine in the Stroke Association, my poem, but it's really funny. So, and I was crap at that.
Can you remember it?
Can I hell? I can play it for you when we get downstairs. So, will that do you?
I think we've got enough there. I wondered what that was. I thought that's like I feel something on my arm. I went. Did you see? That's lovely, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Steve.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
And do you know what? I think we've got enough there for that stroke film. Like, what we could chop out of it, and then if the Stroke Association will let us use that clip as well, that's a really short film then for the Stroke series.
The bloke who's now in charge of stroke for the UK is my mate. He used to call here and take me places.
What's his name?
I'm friends with him on Facebook.
It's alright, get it downstairs.
I'll tell you when we get downstairs.
Put things back. Thank you.
No, leave that there.
No, why?
No, because I've got Lee coming tomorrow and AJ, they'll put it back for me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'll have a lift off you.
That was me making the noise.